Welcome once again, everybody, to another edition of Grassroots Motorsports Live, presented by CRC Industries. My name's JG Pasterjack. This is the place we hang out every Wednesday night here in the Grassroots Motorsports magazine shops. This is where we build a lot of our project cars. This is where we come out at night. We're here all night sometimes. We're here during the day. We're doing all the stuff that you see in the magazine sometime later. And tonight we got a really fun show going on. We're going to be rebuilding this seat, this very seat from our C5 Corvette, which is still up on the lift. We'll be getting it down next week. But we can see that, that this seat has seen better days. Very typical wear patterns for a C5. And we're going to be showing you how to completely redo this seat starting in just a few minutes. Before we start the actual show, though, want to let's give a few shout outs to our folks that are here. Thanks for the folks that came last night, hung out for a while we were recording a podcast with our friend Chuck Matthews. Thanks for coming back tonight, and a big thanks to a new sponsor we would like to recognize tonight. Very proud to have these guys on board. Ladies and gentlemen, Coney Shocks, now a proud supporter of Grassroots Motorsports Live. We can see their logo right down here. You can check them out at coney-na.com. Fantastic people, fantastic products. Every week they're going to be providing us with a very cool little tech tip that we're going to be showing you guys right in the middle of the show. Going to give me a chance to go get a drink, go take a leak somewhere, go wash my hands, and give us a little break. And Coney's going to take over for just a couple minutes, give you guys a great tech tip. So welcome aboard to Coney this week. Also, need to talk about our presenting sponsor, CRC Industries. We've replenished our shelves here with lots of cool CRC stuff, making it look fancy. We got some of this new Brake Clean Pro Series. CRC asked me, hey, what do you like about our stuff? What don't you like about our stuff? What are you using? What are you going through a lot of? And I said, you know, I'm going through a lot of brake clean. It seems like I'm always using the stuff for, you know, beyond its design parameters and using too much of it. And they said, we got just the thing for you. Brake Clean Pro Series was originally announced just for industry. It's basically just a giant can of brake clean. It's like nearly 70% larger than a regular can of brake clean. It was so popular with their industry customers, it's going to be available to you and me, the consumer, very soon at O'Reilly Auto Parts, Advanced Auto Parts, Napa, a couple other stores, but those three for sure. Those will be the first ones it's rolling out in. So we're really excited to be able to preview some of that on the show. I mean, it's brake clean. We know it's great, but now it's huge. So that's even better. Also, check out our friends at Autobooks Aerobooks, the world's greatest bookstore, right there in Burbank, California. Autobooks-aerobooks.com. Tens of thousands of books, magazines, spanning the entire history of transportation, whether it's got wings, wheels, pedals, hot air, or paddles, or whatever. If it moves, it is at Autobooks Aerobooks, and you can order it on the internet, or you can go visit them in Burbank and check out all the cool live stuff they are doing there every week. Author signings and cruise-ins and all kinds of great stuff. Say hi to some of our friends. Oh my God, Mike Yeager is joining us. That is a perfect segue into C5 seats. Folks, Mike Yeager is the chief cheerleader, the head honcho at Mid-America Motorworks. Mid-America Motorworks is one of the greatest suppliers of Corvette restoration performance parts anywhere in the world. And not only are they a fantastic resource, they're fans. Like, they have one of the coolest Corvette museums I've ever seen is right there at their facility in Southern Illinois. If you ever get a chance to go check it out, it is worth the trip. It is extremely cool. So they are huge fans. They are huge enthusiasts, and they provide us with amazing stuff to fix our Corvettes. So let's talk a little bit about C5 Corvette seats. They're kind of crappy. No other way to put it. We had John Heinrichsey on the show couple months ago. We asked him, what was your greatest regret about the C5? And he's basically said, you know what, the seats in these things suck. And they kind of do. But we can, which you know, with as much skill as I possess anyway, we can rebuild it, we can fix it, we can make these as good as new. So we're going to start actually disassembling this seat here. And we will get right to it because we've got a lot of ground to cover tonight, and we might have to rush through a few things. So we can see from this seat already. This is the driver's seat. We can see all the wear in the bolster area right here. We can feel the foam is basically completely collapsed in there. It's just gone. The leather is starting to chafe. There's a rip in the leather right here. So this seat is basically done. The bottom cushion actually feels like it's in decent shape, but that's not really the high wear area. This is the highest wear area. So seats out of the car, obviously. We've removed the seat belt thing from over on this side. You actually don't have to remove this, but it's one 18mm nut, makes it a lot easier. Next, we're going to take off the control panel for the power seats and take off this handle. This handle actually is probably one of the trickiest parts of this whole operation, and I specifically saved this to do it live because it's going to be just as fun as watching me try and peel that tape last week. So there is an omega-shaped clip inside this handle that holds it on. You access it from this slot on the bottom, and you just have to kind of get lucky when you're getting that clip out of there, and you've got to basically get a small flat-bladed screwdriver or a small tool in there and push this clip up and off the shaft. Oh, look at that. So there is the little omega-shaped clip. You can see why it's so tricky because there's just nothing to push on in there. We'll set that aside. We'll put our clip over here on the magnet. So now we have access to this this control panel, which removes with just a couple of Phillips screws. One of the screws was actually hiding behind the lever, so that's why if you have to take the lever off first. We'll save these screws to reinstall it. Oh, what's Larry talking about? Yes, Larry said something to let Grassroots Motorsports know. Larry, we always know you're here. And oh, Mark Petronas has joined us. He sees some control arms in the background. Mark's actually going to be with us next week. We'll give you a little preview of these later. These are some very sexy control arms. We just got back from AMT Motorsports, Mark Petronas' organization up in New York. We've got all monoball spherical bushings in these things now. They are, oh, delicious. All right, so we got our control panel off. One little clip on here, which removes our electrical connection. Just to press the clip. This is now free. We can set that aside where we'll look for it later. Now we've got most of this seat free. We can start actually taking some of this hide off of here. Okay, start with the bottom. These seats are largely held together by hog rings in a lot of spots, by zippers, and by Velcro. So these hog rings, you're going to need a fairly industrial set of snips. Basically, it's the last thing you want to do with your snips because it might take a few of them with it, or get a pair of heavy-duty cutters. We can see that this flap of the bottom has been flapped over. Hog ring holding it onto the frame of the seat. We will cut that clear of there. So I last rebuilt seats. I actually had to look up the story I wrote on rebuilding the seats in my old Corvette. It was the August 2008 issue. So it's been almost exactly 10 years since I did this last time. It all came back to me fairly well. I was pleased with how the knowledge sort of returned to me. Okay, so now we've got this back flap off. We can see how the back is held together with more hog rings here, holding this bottom on, and there's a drawstring also holding this bottom on. We're going to just undo the drawstring, and then we'll start working on those hog rings. So I'd like to welcome all the folks joining us who found us through Mid-America Motorworks. I know we are big fans of theirs. We appreciate them spreading the word about this show tonight. This is the second time we've worked with them on a project car. We worked with them 10 years ago on our fixed roof coupe project, and found them to be an excellent set of ladies and gentlemen to work with, very passionate about what they do. And much like some of our other supporters, much like Autobooks, Aerobooks, not just great suppliers of parts and stuff, but in the event business as well. There's one of the biggest Corvette gatherings anywhere in the world takes place at Mid-America Motorworks in September, actually. So check out their Fun Fest if you're up in the area. Okay, so we're just going to cut these hog rings free from the back of the seat here. We've got the drawstring off, so we'll get these hog rings out of here. And I'm probably being a little bit too careful with all this stuff because we're not going to be reusing any of this stuff. If your seats aren't too bad, you can get away with reusing the foam quite a bit. Okay, so we see a little more detail how these are snapped together. Pay attention to this. It's actually a great idea while you're taking these apart. Take some pictures with your phone, and you can kind of see how everything is held together, and put it back the same way, or at least a similar way. One of the great things about this project is this is kind of a true arts and crafts project. You can get away with not doing things exactly how they come apart, because this was built by human hands. This was not built by a machine in a specific way. This was built by people, so there's some variation going on here. And there weren't a lot of judgment calls being made on the assembly line, but every time a hand was laid on this, it was laid on there a little bit differently. So when you're putting it back together, don't feel like you've got to exactly match up, exactly where these hog rings are, and perfectly duplicate what was here, because this was put together by a person, and you're a person putting it together, so you're basically looking for the same result, and there's different ways to achieve that. So pull this cover off of here. We can see this industrial strength Velcro holding the cover on. I don't actually have to remove the cover to remove the seat. I'm just kind of showing it to you so you kind of get a feel for what we're doing here. There we go. Our bottom is free. And actually, this bottom, not in horrible shape, really. Not in horrible shape at all. We are going to keep this around because we may have to do a little bit of trimming on our new foam to get it to precisely fit. When they mold these new foams, they mold them a little bit proud so you can do some hand fitting. But again, don't panic. You don't have to be an old world craftsman to pull this off. You just have to be willing to take your time, be willing to pay attention a little bit, and you'll be in good shape. Let's get caught up on questions here. Yeah, Richard says it never seems to lose anything when the parts store is open. Yeah, that's one of the dangers of doing live TV at night, is that we need to have all of our metaphorical ducks in a row before we even start on this, or like what happened 2 weeks ago or last week. You know, our pyrometer doesn't work, and it all comes apart after that. Okay, this is one of the trickier parts with these J clips on the bottoms of these seats, and again, sometimes they come right off, and sometimes you got to mess with them a little bit. Oh, I'm getting lucky today. Basically, you have a clip like this that goes down into a U-shaped channel. That actually, it's upside down. It comes up into a U-shaped channel and pulls the bottom of the seat together. So you've got to get your screwdriver under this U-shaped channel, push it off of the tab-shaped connection. So you have to basically push the slot off of the tab and release the tension that way. And we got extremely lucky. So that means we have extra time for dancing and candy later. All right, there's a zipper that holds the back of this seat together. Once those J tabs are off, we're going to undo that zipper. And one more connection, and this back will be free. And that connection is this little bezel right up here. You'll just kind of wiggle a prying device in here. Great, so now the super easy thing is going to be the super hard thing. There we go. And just a snap-in plastic bezel protects this little guy right here, and then once that's all done, this seat back is essentially free. And we can take it off like a big leather shirt and get a closer look. Oh yeah, that's all done, isn't it? And that's very, very typical side bolster wear. That's not unusual at all. My 99, I bought that car with, I mean, it was 7 or 8 years old, but it only had 38,000 miles on it, and that bolster was already starting to go. So that is definitely a weak point on these seats. So there is our cover free. Yeah, so somebody asked about replacing covers without foam, replacing foam without covers. Probably recommend you do them both at the same time. They are kind of a match set. The modern foam, you'll see in a minute, is actually quite a bit of an upgrade from this stuff. The density is a little bit different. It actually kind of varies the density throughout the foam. It's just it's a much nicer foam altogether, and it's almost not worth screwing around. If you're gonna take the covers off anyway, it's no big deal to take the foam off. So you're in there anyway. You may as well do it. So these stock seats just have a couple little Christmas tree tabs holding the top foam on, which we will remove with our fancy prying tool. What did I almost drop on your foot there, Chris? Was it anything heavy? No, it's just a... Yeah, it's so fun using the right tool for the job, isn't it? Get this off here. There is our old seat foam that we can see is completely cooked. That is done, but again, this is really typical wear for a Corvette seat. So we get caught up on questions here a little bit. Yeah, Mike's recommending using a heat gun to warm the covers or place them out in the sun to heat the leather. Yeah, I mean, when they're going on, we actually have our heat gun handy here for putting them back on. We'll show you that in just a few minutes as we start getting these back together. But yeah, if it's August, I think the last set of these I actually did, we did them in the dead of summer. I just put them out in the driveway for a while. You can also throw these covers in the dryer for a few minutes to stretch them out. When you're pulling the old ones off, yeah, you can heat them up a little bit. They would come off easier. You're not going to save them anyway. So just go full Hulk and rip them off of there. All right, so here's what our seat looks like naked. This is what we're gonna start rebuilding from. Here's a really dirty trick that Mike Yeager will probably hate me for. One of the complaints that we hear quite a bit with Corvette seats is the seats are too high. There's not enough support anywhere. If you wanted to, I can't even believe I'm telling you this. He took these two springs right here that are holding this sort of trampoline together. If you just unhooked these two springs that hold the back of this seat in, you get a little bit deeper butt pocket. If you're a big guy, if you're like me, it's going to be too deep, and you're going to basically be sitting on this bar. But that is a really down and dirty, really cheesy way to get yourself just a little more room. I can't even say I recommend that. It's a thing that you can do if you're desperate. If you're just desperate for that 1/8 of an inch of headroom, you know, you're doing a track day and you got to get that helmet in there because you're tall. You unhook those two springs and you can get a little bit of that headroom, but it's going to cause wear and tear on your seats. It's not really going to be something you want to stick around with. Okay, so where are we time-wise here? We are actually right in the middle here. So we are going to take our midway break here. We'll start doing our reassembly as soon as we come back. We're going to show you our first ever, oh, I'm so excited about this. We'll show you our first ever Coney Tech Tip video. This one's a little bit longer than ones you'll be seeing in the future because it's their first one and they didn't really have time to put it together. But I am so excited that these great people, these good friends of ours, these people that make this fantastic product have decided to support our humble little show here. So without any further ado, we will show you guys this week's Coney Tech Tip as soon as I get queued up right here. This is going to be a good tip for any of you guys installing shocks in Subarus or other cars that require your shocks to be taken apart and have inserts.
Hello, I'm Lee Grimes with Coney Shock Absorbers. Thank you for joining us. Today we are in the Coney America Research and Development Lab, and I'm going to show you a few easy steps for the installation of the Coney strut inserts using a technique known as cut-a-strut. Coney cut-a-strut inserts are performance dampers that are made to fit inside the factory original equipment strut housings when a Coney complete strut is not available for that specific application. Coney will always make a complete strut housing when all the key components are available, but if they're not available, then a cut-a-strut is a good solution to reuse the factory modified strut housing. Today we're working with a factory strut from a popular Subaru and Saab application. However, the cut-a-strut process is the same for all different vehicles. We start the process with a complete strut already off the vehicle. Please consult your service manual or a certified technician whenever removing parts from your suspension. At this point, verify that you have the correct part numbers for your car, as well as compare the general diameter and length of the factory original struts to the Coney inserts. You will need a handful of tools to complete this project. After removing the factory assembly from the car and cleaning them up a bit, you will securely clamp the factory strut into the bench vise. Once the factory assembly is secured, apply a small piece of tape on the bottom to make your mark easy to see when using your pen to mark the center. Center punch your mark as a drill guide, with the strut turned upside down in the bench vise. Next, you will drill a small, approximately 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter hole in the punched area to release the gas pressure and to create a drain hole for the shock oil. Next, we will remove the strut from the vise and begin to carefully drain the oil into a receptacle. A slow pumping motion of the piston rod will help drain the oil. Don't forget to properly recycle or dispose of your shock oil. You will not need this oil as your new Coney inserts come complete and ready to use. After the oil has been drained, place a small piece of tape over the hole to avoid any extra leakage or excess dripping during the next few steps. To make your cut mark more visible, put some tape all the way around the end of the strut housing. On the new insert, measure from the end of the strut to the retention bumps on the insert body. Subtract 6 millimeters from the first measurement and apply it to the factory strut housing, making multiple marks on the tape. Use the edge of a new piece of tape to connect your marks to create your cutting guideline. We are now ready to cut the housing. There are several different tools that can be used for this step. All of these tools, if used properly, will give you the same result. Just be careful and be safe. When the end of the housing has been cut off, pull out the old factory internals and drain any remaining old oil to empty the strut housing and make room for your new Coney inserts. Carefully use one or more hand files to remove the sharp edges and debris from the freshly cut strut tube on both the outer and inner edges. Use a light to inspect the inside of the strut housing to make sure that there are no obstructions. Return the strut housing to the vise in an upside down position and remove the tape. Using the previous drain hole in the end of the housing as a pilot, drill a larger 1/2 inch or 12 to 13 millimeter hole to accommodate the new insert retaining bolt during the final assembly of the new Coney inserts. This is a good time to clean the bare strut housing, remove excess dirt and rust, and apply some fresh paint if you choose. Now we are ready to slip the Coney insert into your modified factory housing. It should fit easily into the strut housing and stop when the raised bumps meet the cut end of the housing. Insert the provided bolt through the hole and into the female threads at the bottom of the Coney cut-a-strut insert. Thread the bolt by hand to ensure that there is no cross-threading. After you have threaded it in by hand, tighten it with a wrench to pull the insert to its final position, and note that the bumps have been drawn into the end of the strut housing. Once the bolt has been tightened and the insert is in place, remove the bolt and install the supplied lock and shaped washers and add a drop of thread locker liquid. Rethread the bolt into the insert and tighten it to the proper torque specification. In this case, that is 40 foot-pounds or 55 Newton meters. Finally, you are ready to install the rubber dust boot by slipping it over the end of the damper to cover the edge of the housing that was cut. This boot helps ensure that no water, dirt, or road grit will get into the assembly. At this point, now you're ready to reinstall your completed cut-a-struts onto your vehicle. Remember not to use an impact tool when tightening the top nuts over an externally adjustable damper, as it could cause internal damage. Please use hand tools and torque to the right numbers. For more information and technical tips, please contact Coney directly. Thank you very much for your interest in Coney.
All right, gang, thank you very, very much to our friends at Coney for providing us great content every week and for being a part of the show. It is really, really fun. Almost ready to start getting our seat back together now. I want to give you a couple more quick words about the folks that support this show. You guys know about our friends at CRC. They sent us some of the funnest new stuff. They took my dare, and when I told them I was running out of brake clean all the time, and they sent us literally gallons and gallons of brake clean. 22 bucks a gallon this stuff is on Amazon. Do the math. That is a fantastic savings over what you're going to be paying for that in the cans. And then you can get one of these, the Sure Shot sprayer. These are about 55 bucks on Amazon. You pressurize it, you put your brake clean in there, you hose it all over everything, and you have a big old party, and there ain't no grease on nothing anymore, because that's how it works. All kinds of cool stuff coming out of those CRC folks. Every time that we talk to them, we learn about something new and cool that they're doing. So check them out at crcindustries.com. Also, check out our friends at Autobooks Aerobooks. We got a great Corvette book we're going to throw up there tonight, written by none other than Dave McClellan, chief engineer for the Corvette for a couple of decades, basically. You can check that out at autobooks-aerobooks.com. Also, check out tens of thousands of books, magazines, videos, collectibles, right there on their internet site, or visit them in person in Burbank. You will not regret it. Trust me when I say that. Let's get back to building some seats. Thanks everybody for holding on. Yes, Angela, the show grows. The show continues to grow. And when we first started this thing, I told our sales department, look, if we're gonna be bringing partners into this show, I want them to be somebody I trust, somebody I can talk about, you know, honestly, and somebody whose people I know, whose products I trust. I want it to be somebody cool, and Coney's a great addition. The CRC folks, great partners, and Autobooks, fantastic partners. Here is the bottom of our seat. This is the new foam. You can actually just feel, yeah, here, Chris, reach a hand out and feel that new foam, and then feel that old foam. Right? It's the new stuff, miracles of modern technology, density in the right place, a little more support in the bolsters, nice and giving yet supportive in the middle, much higher quality product. And they also give you a little bit of extra material that you've got to sort of trim by hand. Again, don't be intimidated, fairly easy process. You want to look at your old bolsters and see where some of these clearances are. We've got these clearances here for the bolts that hold the seat back up. So we're going to have to make some little notches for those. You can get away without cutting sometimes, but you end up having to do a lot more stretching, and sometimes it's just easier to make a little bit of clearance. We've already clearanced this side out a little bit, just using a single-sided long scraper blade to give ourselves a little room to clear around some of the hardware in the actual seat here. And again, this stuff is going to be buried in the guts of the seat, so you'll never know it isn't there. And then we have a couple nice little arches there, so when we slide this baby in, those will fit right over those bolts. And give you a little bit of additional clearance. So that is how the bottom fits. And these actually are already clearanced for the adjusters, and they're not cut for the power stuff, but we can take care of that in a little bit. So that's why you need to save your old stuff. All right, so that looks great. So let's deal with the back now. And the backs sometimes need a little bit of trimming because they come out of the molds a little bit proud, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing because it lets you kind of custom fit this foam to your seat. So again, much higher quality foam than the original stock stuff we were using. And we can see it just fits like a glove right in there. But just like our backs, we can see that sometimes we need to do a little bit of trimming to take a little bit of this extra material off of here, get those covers to wrap around a little bit easier. And we've actually trimmed out a seat back already that we have ready to go and fitted. So we will just slip this baby over here. And we will get to the rebuilding process. Gave it a little bit more room down here, makes it a little bit easier to wrap that bottom around, get that bottom on properly, and gave it a little bit of extra room right in these sides here. It helps it clear some of these mechanisms. So these the new ones don't come with the little strappy things that go across the top. We're just going to give this a little shot of CRC spray adhesive. It's actually not really CRC spray adhesive, but I got caught not knowing that they made spray adhesive among their 15,000 different products at one point. So I made my own. Not as good as theirs. So basically the main reason we're adding a little bit of adhesive to the top of this, you don't technically need it. It just makes the install process a lot easier because it kind of holds this foam in place nicely while you're getting the leather stretched over top of it. Tack up for a minute and we'll take a look at the new covers that we are putting on here. So first thing you may notice is got a beautiful blue here that matches the color of our Corvette. Mid-America can put these together in almost any color combination. Basic kit, you can get everything from essentially a money-saving vinyl to a really high-end premium leather. You want to redo all your foam, all your leather, get a nice quality leather, single color probably. You're probably looking at spending close to $2,000, but you're going to have essentially brand new seats when you're done with that. They can also throw some cool options on there for you, like the contrasting colors, like our Le Mans blue inserts here, and like some custom stitching here where they actually put the Grassroots Motorsports logo here, Z06 logo, and of course their Mid-America logo. You do all that kind of custom embroidery on there. Very cool stuff. The stuff is just a really nice quality. There's some extra padding in the bolster area. It actually, when I did mine 10 years ago, this actually feels like they've upgraded it even since then. One thing we recommend sometimes is you can take a piece of denim or a piece of burlap and spray adhesive it onto this edge of the bolster right here. It's going to show through your upholstery. There's going to be a little ridge there, but if it's a daily driver, it's a way to provide a little bit of extra protection there. But they have substantially upgraded the leather on these since the last time I did that. So Angela wants to know, how hard was it to trim the foam? It was easy. You basically just kind of match it up to your old stuff that came off of there. Take off a little bit at a time, and it cuts very easily. And you just kind of fit it up, and it doesn't take a lot. If you've ever, if you've ever like done something in a garden, you kind of know how much dirt to put back in a hole after you take it out. This stuff is soft. You can work with it a little bit. You can push it. You can mold it. You can You know, it's pliable, so it's fairly easy to work with. Okay, so our adhesive is nice and tacked up there. So we will stick our foam in place, and we will start skinning this bad boy. See if we got any questions. So Ryan wants to know, is the leather quality better than OE, assuming they're available in the full leather instead of the stock leather at vinyl? Yeah, the ones we got are absolutely better than OE. There's actually several grades available from Mid-America. Look, it's a Corvette. Get the good stuff, because the seats are a wear item on these anyway. So spend the extra money, get the good stuff. We'll throw a link up to the page with all the different options. The stuff we got is absolutely 100%, you know, a much higher quality than the stock stuff. And actually, the hole for the adjuster is even pre-cut in these now. And so let's get this unzipped. I'm going to bring my pad over here. So I can actually see what you guys are talking about without walking away from you. Oh, so our Mike Yeager from Mid-America says, thanks for asking us to join you. Besides liking you guys, JG actually does a super job. You know, try not to sound so surprised when we say that. I appreciate it, Mike, but you know, I would not rather be doing anything else on a Wednesday night, believe me. This is how I love and choose to spend my time, and we are glad to have you guys aboard. Okay, so you can start dropping this seat in place here. We can see all this industrial Velcro on the face of the seat. That matches up with these tabs inside the seat. The way I normally do this, the way I have done it in the past, is I don't seat all of that Velcro as soon as I put the cover down over. I just sort of seat that top piece, and that gives me a little more wiggle room to massage this cover down onto the seat. Now we're gonna skip ahead in a minute here a little bit, because a lot of this part literally is just pulling and massaging and working this leather down onto the seat, and that's nothing you guys want to watch. I just want to show you the basic operation. So I'll show you how to heat some of this stuff up and stretch this headpiece over the seat. So you can get away with heating this stuff up a little bit, warming it up to soften the leather. You can moisten it a little bit. You can use just a little bit of clean, you know, plain water to put a little bit of moisture into the leather, which will soften it a little bit. But basically, this part is just a process of, if you've ever put a wetsuit on, this process is very similar to putting a wetsuit on. It's just a lot of trying to get 10 pounds of stuff into a 5-pound bag, and massaging and stretching the leather over this foam. And heat and moisture are your friends when it comes to that. Okay, so you can see that heading in the right direction. Let me show you the other trickiest part here, and then we'll skip ahead to our nearly completed seat. I can show you how we finish stuff up so we can keep this in our time limit. One of the trickiest parts to this is going to be getting these J-clips together. And let me go ahead and do this zipper up. And this is not really setting how we want it to set yet, but we're going to kind of do this cooking show style so we can show you some of these techniques. Hey, David, come here for a second. David, come here for a second. Hold these together for me so I can zip this. David Wallens, everybody. Woo. Got it? Yep. Okay. So there is our thing zipped. So one of the trickiest parts of this operation is putting these U-channel, these J/U clips on the bottom, and this is where you're going to want to use, again, a little bit of heat, a little bit of moisture. This is the U-channel. This is the slot that goes into it. Of course, that slot's got to go around and under. So you're going to want to heat this part here, and you're going to want to heat the front part of this here, so you can stretch this U-channel back all the way over the back, stretch this clip forward, roll that clip around under, and it pops right up into that channel. It's very, very satisfying when it happens. Throw a little warmth on that, get that leather stretched out a bit, and it will drop right into place. So let us skip ahead here. To a nearly completed seat. So this is a seat we spent some time massaging this leather. Yeah, John says next week I will put on a wetsuit live. That show would be even longer than this one, actually, and that is not something anybody wants to see. So we spent some time massaging this into place. We've got our bottom cushion in place. The bottom cushion goes on the exact same way as the top cushion. Uses this industrial Velcro. Here's a recommendation that I'll make when you're putting this bottom cushion on, is set this Velcro right here and don't set the rest of it while you're installing the seat. That's going to give you a little more slack to work with as you're putting the thing together. So basically, when you drop this on there, set this centerpiece of Velcro here, which is going to index the whole cover. You'll get it on there straight, but if you don't set these side pieces right away, gives you a little more stretch to work with, gives you a little more slack to work with to get this thing stretched on there and get it sealed into place. And then after you've got all the hog rings in place, after you have all the tabs stretched around, we'll show you what those look like in a second here. After you have all that set around, then go back and set your Velcro. And actually one of the best ways to set that Velcro is just to sit in the thing. You sit in the thing and you kind of squish it around, and that's a really good way to kind of work some of that leather into place. So, like the top, let me flip this over. So Warren says, used to manage a plant where they made 30 to 35,000 seat cushions daily And watching this is bringing back memories. I'll bet, man, that is some serious industrial revolution stuff right there. All right, so once we get this bottom cushion in place, bottom cushion is molded to snap right over the frame, just like the top cushion. It's got this drawstring around it, which we're not going to do up just yet. We're going to kind of wait till later on that. And we've got to put these hog rings together. Now we've done this side. I'm going to show you how these hog rings go together on this other side here. We actually have a couple of these tabs stretched around already and hog ringed into place. And then we've got one real tricky son of a gun right in here that is going to be the last one we're going to do, and we will do that one live. But first we're going to warm things up a little bit. So what we have to do basically is we have to attach this little fabric boss right here. There's a little piece of wood, actually, or some kind of fibrous material like you know, soft wood or cardboard or something in this tab that the hog ring is going to grab onto. A hog ring is, it's a manual staple essentially, and we'll show you how that works in just a second. But we've got to stretch. We've got to stretch this piece that comes from underneath there around to meet up with this piece and pull that leather around. You're basically stretching this leather around the seat. You're basically like creating the seat version of like Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard. Like you're just taking the skin of this old actress and pulling it back and making it taut. I am ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. That's what you're doing basically, and that's how we're getting all of the wrinkles out of this thing. So let's warm this leather up a little bit, get it a little bit flexible and allow us to stretch it. You can put a little bit of heat to this stuff, but as always, when you're using a heat gun, you know, be careful. Things can get out of hand fairly quickly. Puts the Corvette in the basket. Yeah, see, that's why you guys come here, because you're not only getting a lot of great tech tips, you're getting my Joan Crawford impression. Those automatically turning on heat guns. So we're going to get a hog ring queued up here. Steve wants to know, would a closed steamer work? Yeah, it probably would actually. You would actually be able to get both some moisture and some heat into it with a closed steamer. It also works great throwing these in the dryer before you pop them on there. But sometimes you need to get some direct heat on these areas. I actually need to do this before it cools off. So I like using these 90-degree needle nose pliers to pull these hog ring little bosses with, because it lets you kind of pull at a 90-degree angle. So we need to get that attached to that. I need to not go through my fingertip. And this is definitely one of those spots where you need a third hand, but you can't really get a third hand in there. So you just have to be patient. Get stuff moved into position. Actually, David, I think we can use a third hand here. It'll go quicker. Hold these pliers right exactly where they are. Got them? Lovely. Pull straight up just a little. Ah, shit. The first one's always the worst when you still have tension on this thing. You're trying to get it into position and stretched. So actually Mike says we probably shouldn't use a closed steamer on there. He likes the dry heat rather than the moist heat. Okay, David, pull straight up. Contact. All right, you can take that off of there. So we're going to slide another hook on there. So Chris says this is where he would rage quit. It really isn't that bad. It's that first one. And actually, if I wasn't doing this for the camera, it would actually go a lot smoother. The other side was not nearly this difficult because I was able to just look straight at it. This is someplace where the showbiz aspect of things definitely slows you down a little bit. So we have those two sealed together with a couple of hog rings. I'm actually going to put a third one on there. Yeah, and look, don't be afraid of this process. The first time I did one of these, I was like, oh man, I've never done upholstery before. This is going to be really hard. I'm going to screw it up, and I was like panicking. And it's not really that intimidating. I mean, if you've got basic mechanical, actually, even if you don't have basic mechanical skills, if you have some basic craft skills, this is something that you can pull off on your own. It's because you can fake it a little bit. You can kind of look at this and say, okay, this is pooching out here a little bit, so I want to tighten this up. So you pull this tab over, you hog ring it right to the foam. You can get away with that stuff because you're going to cover a lot of this stuff with these tabs. Okay, so now we've got our main tabs on the back. We are going to do this drawstring up, and we'll do our final trimming here. So this drawstring basically pulls everything tight around the seat, squishes the foam down onto the seat, squishes the leather around the foam. And keeps everything nice and good looking here. You can obviously tell my my Boy Scout days were mostly spent looking at nudie magazines by the railroad tracks instead of learning how to tie knots. Okay, there we go. So we've got our drawstring on. Our seat cover's tight around there. I'm going to pull our final flap over here, and our flap hog rings right to this piece of the frame. So So Carl wants to know, no spray glue under that. No, the only spray glue we really use on this is just to kind of locate the seat back foam while we're stretching the leather over top of it. Everything is just held in place by the tension of the leather over top of the of the foam. And you know, I think what that also does for you is it kind of lets that leather move around on the foam. The leather and the foam are probably going to have different expansion rates and heat, so you want there to be some flexibility. And who mentioned? Yeah, Dinesh said zip ties also work for this. I do not recommend using zip ties in place of hog rings. Can you get away with it? Yes, technically you can get away with it, but don't. This is the right thing. Zip ties tend to dry rot after a while. They get brittle. They're gonna snap off of there. If you're really in a jam, you can fake it with zip ties for a while. I do not recommend that as a permanent solution. A hog ring, 100 hog rings and a pair of pliers is like 14 bucks at Amazon, or you can walk into any upholstery store or a lot of like farm supply stores, and they're going to have these. So the stock seat only has one hog ring holding this flap down. I like to put a couple extras on here, precisely because they are inexpensive and readily available, and why not? So Rick says he missed the beginning. He needs to do a seat rebuild on the C5. This video will be available on our YouTube channel in about 2 hours, actually. So shortly after we finish the live portion, it'll get automatically archived to our Grassroots Motorsports YouTube channel, and it'll be up there in perpetuity. And that's how it works. Yep, there we go. Oh, did I mention that we're giving free stickers away? I've gotten this far into the show and have not mentioned free stickers. If you want some free Grassroots Motorsports stickers, I'm going to tell you how to get those in just, you know, listen to me for a little while longer. Let me tell you how to get those in just a couple of minutes, so stick around. We are just about done with this seat right here. We've got all of our hog rings in place. We just have to do a little bit of final cutting. And this will be a done deal. This is the passenger seat. So the only thing we have left to do is to trim out our hole for the adjuster right here. And some people will use their old seat as a template, use that to cut the hole. I like to, it's small enough where I think you can just kind of put it on there and let it stretch naturally over there, and then use that as a guide to where you're going to cut your hole out with a very, very sharp X-Acto knife or the equivalent. Man. And if you folks ever have the choice of using or not using razor sharp blades on live TV, I would go for the latter. All right, so that is clear. We can, is this our, oh, this was one I knocked over. This is our passenger side adjuster with the Omega clip in place, and we're just gonna pop that right back on. Boom. That is a done seat, folks. That is what they look like. We've got all of our tabs tucked in. We've got all of our stuff hog ringed in place. Oh, we have to cut out our our little adjuster hole back here. The hole's already cut. We just got to trim the foam out of there. So the only thing we really skipped tonight, I mean, I know we went from, you know, an incomplete seat to a complete seat. The only thing we really skipped, the only part you didn't see, was a lot of me doing this. It was a lot of that. You're massaging this leather. You're putting a little bit of heat to it. You're working this cover down smoothly over the seat. So that's really, if you know, that's the time sink right there. That's why we had to fast forward things a bit, because nobody wants to watch me concentrating on something that's clearly out of my depth, which is most everything. Okay, so that is snapped into place. There, my friends, is a complete seat. Still have a little bit of this Velcro that is not sealed into place. Like I said, the best way that I know to actually fasten that stuff, put it out in the sun for a little bit, get it nice and warm, sit on the thing. Sit on the thing, move yourself around, get yourself squished in. That's going to give this leather a nice final seat. It's going to basically work everything into position, and it's going to make everything line up all nice and pretty. It's going to work out some of these little wrinkles like this as the foam takes a nice seat under there. But overall, this is what you should be looking at when you're done, and we cannot wait to get these things back into the car. Oh man, that was fun. Hey, did you share this? Everybody say, how are we doing on time? We need to wrap things up here, but thanks for watching, everybody. I mentioned free stickers. We are giving away, how many people we got online right now? We got a nice chunk of people online. I know you guys want free stickers, and we are going to give viewers of this show free Grassroots Motorsports stickers. They look just like this, except they're smaller. They fit in a number 10 envelope. Stick them on your car, stick them on your toolbox, stick them on your cooler, stick them anywhere you want. Our gift to you for supporting this show, all you have to do, folks, it's easy. All you have to do, go to grassrootsmotorsports.com/free stickers, I think is all it is. We'll throw the link up in the chat here in 1 second, but I'm pretty sure it's grassrootsmotorsports.com/free stickers. We're going to ask for your email address. We're going to ask for your mailing address, and stickers are going to show up to your house before too long. We might email you something down the road. We're not going to sell that email address to anybody. If you get anything by putting that email address in, it's going to be from us. It's going to be from Grassroots Motorsports Magazine. It's going to be from Classic Motorsports Magazine. We do not let those email addresses leave our clutching little fingers. And the only thing we're ever going to send you is going to be really cool stuff, like stories we couldn't fit in the magazine, or offers to subscribe, you know, cheaper than people who aren't getting those emails. So don't panic. We're not gonna go, you know, a full Facebook on you and sell your information to everybody, even people that don't live on this planet. We just want to give away some free stickers. We also want to give away some free CRC stuff. So everybody that requests free stickers, everybody that requests those free stickers each week, we're going to grab one of those people at random, and we're going to snatch an item off of our CRC shelf. Might be a can of brake clean, might be some of these hand towels, might be some of that display cleaner. It's going to be a CRC item from our CRC stocks. We're going to throw it in a box. We're going to send it to your house. You're going to get free CRC stuff, as well as a couple of Grassroots Motorsports stickers. I'm so excited that they went for this deal, because I've wanted to give away something to our viewers for supporting this show for so long. So John wants to know, will his info be used in a presidential election? Only if I am running. That is the only time we will ever use that information, and I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. All it would take would be one look at my internet search history would disqualify me immediately. So I don't think we have to worry about that anytime soon. So where it was, yes, grassrootsmotorsports.com/free stickers. That's the deal, folks, and we would appreciate it if you would take us up on that offer, because we would love to give you guys some stuff. Thanks very much to Mike Yeager for hanging out in the chat, answering some questions. Mike from Mid-America Motorworks, where we got these amazing seat covers. I hope you learned a little bit tonight. I hope if a project like this was intimidating you, I hope that we demystified this a little bit. If I can do this, clearly you can do this, because I am a emotionally stunted man-child with a 4th grade education. So this is not anything to be scared by, and it is a fantastic way to fix a very weak point of these C5 Corvettes, is to renew the seating surfaces and the seating foam in these cars. Great weekend project. You can be done with it in a long day, because there is some pauses to heat things up and cool things down and get stuff fit. But great, you can basically pull the car into the garage on Friday, drive out Monday morning with brand new seat covers, and not really ever work that hard over the weekend. Thank you very much to our friends at CRC Industries. We are giving away free stuff from CRC when you get free stickers. Thanks to our friends at Autobooks Aerobooks. You can check them out at autobooks-aerobooks.com. All of your reading and viewing needs, folks. Anything about cars, airplanes, boats, trains, hot air balloons, dirigibles, motorcycles, paddle boats, canoes, anything that moves or flies or floats, they got books on it, they got magazines on it, they got videos on it, they have collectibles related to it. Right there, autobooks-aerobooks.com. You can order all their stuff on the internet. If you ever get a chance to go to Burbank, California, check them out, because you might meet a famous author. We'll be there signing books. You might meet Jay Leno, who hangs out there like every weekend. We always run into him out there when we're there. It is a hub of automotive activity in Southern California. And thank you very much to Coney Shocks, our newest supporter of this show. Coney's going to be providing great tech tips every single week on this show. You check them out at coney-na.com. If you go there right now, actually, there is a fantastic coupon available where you get up to like 70, 75 bucks off of a set of shocks. So if you're looking for shocks, baby, time to save. Hit that Coney site. And we appreciate all the support that we get from all these great partners, and especially all the support we get from our viewers, everybody who gives us a like, gives us a share, everybody who just hangs out and watches the show every week. A lot of love for you guys. Love seeing you guys at events and doing stuff. Let's take one last look here. So David would love to see these seats at Corvette Fun Fest. Corvette Fun Fest coming up at Mid-America late September, I think 23rd, 24th of September, if I got my dates right, somewhere right around that third weekend of September. If you're a Corvette guy and you're anywhere near Southern Illinois, you owe it to yourself. It is one of the largest gathering of Corvettes anywhere in the world. Cars of every era. They open up the facilities there at Mid-America. You can see their manufacturing facilities. You can see their amazing museum. They've got just an amazing collection of Corvettes right there. That's open 7 days a week, actually, and it's worth going to check out. Does it, Mike? I love you, buddy, but you shouldn't have gotten rid of the Corvette summer car. That's going to haunt me forever. That you let that one go, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do, and sometimes you gotta make those hard decisions. All right, scanning down here for any last questions that we missed. Ed says, I make it look easy. He'd be like a monkey making sweet love to a football. No, man. Look, I am as bad at this as anyone. This is just not that hard. There's a few awkward moments. This is a completely doable project, especially on a car like this. It's a little bit older, doesn't have a lot of power stuff in the seats, doesn't have inflatable bladders, doesn't have a zillion adjustments. You're putting a fancy shirt on. If you have kids, if you ever like put a shirt on a 2-year-old, I'm sure this is not any harder than that. And the seat's not screaming at you and asking for a Nintendo or something while you try and put the seat back together. Carl wants to talk about my new shirt. These are just staff right now, but if you guys, if you like them, send us an email, and if we get enough requests, maybe we'll do a run. But yeah, right now these are just staff. It's literally the only thing we can do. This is the only nice clothes that I own. So don't take that away from me. All right, this has been a long one. I am glad you guys hung out. I'm glad we had Mike here from Mid-America. Glad we had all of our support from CRC and Coney and Autobooks. Could not be happier to welcome Coney aboard. Thanks very much to David Wallens. Helped out with those hands tonight. Thanks to Chris. As always, doing a great job behind the camera. Actually, you can check out more of Chris's excellent camera work at his day job at VMP Performance, a great Mustang tuner just south of us in New Smyrna Beach. He runs all the video for them as well. I mean, we kind of hooked him up with that job a little bit. We recommended him to them because he was awesome, but still comes out here and shoots for us on Wednesday nights, and that's cool. Next week, here, let me give you guys a little preview of these babies. These, we're going to be doing the final install on these arms that we just got back from AMT Motorsports up in New York. Mark Petronas from AMT will be here. These arms now have spherical bushings. Every single rubber bushing has been replaced with these spherical bushings. We've got some really nice Howe Racing ball joints here in the outside. We'll be doing our final install on these, as well as finishing up the install of the coil-over shocks going into this Corvette. So Mark will be here next week talking all about the technology that goes into crafting and installing these absolutely artisan quality bushings. They're at every corner of this car now. And some of his other very, very cool product. He's actually going to be visiting us next week. It's going to be an honor to have him here. We always love to have guests. We always love to have you guys. Folks, that is it for tonight. I have talked enough. We will see you again next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, on all of the Grassroots Motorsports outlets, on YouTube, on Facebook, on our website. We appreciate you being here tonight. Thanks to our friends at Mid-America. Thanks to Coney. Thanks to CRC Industries. Thanks to Autobooks, Aerobooks. Thanks to the guys behind the camera. Thanks most of all to you for watching. I'm JG Pasterjack. This is Grassroots Motorsports Live, presented by CRC Industries. Folks, we'll see you again next week. Good night.